Hello, welcome to another weekly update. I hope you're doing well, had a good weekend, ready for another week. A couple of things to talk through this week that happened. None were... So I didn't write up any of these, which is kind of interesting, and we can talk through why that is. So all of these are references to other people's blog posts rather than anything that I've blogged about this week. But kind of interesting to talk through. So the first one on the face of it is a really big deal, and we're going to talk through why I didn't write it up as well, but it came out of Microsoft Inspire, and so I'm going to refer you to Tom Arbuthnot's blog for this, who's written about this, and that is about a client SDK for Microsoft Teams. So we've talked about a client SDK for Microsoft Teams for a really long time. It's a ginormous item on user voice, the ability to make and receive calls and generally do things that you can do with the Teams client, but in an SDK format, so people can wrap it inside applications or embed it inside existing applications, has been talked about for a really long time. And at a session at Inspire last week, Microsoft said that this is coming. So what does this mean? Why didn't I write it up? What is going on? Okay, well, look, this is the blog post from Tom, and it was in a session around, growing your practice if you're a partner, because Inspire is a partner conference, all about Teams phone system and Teams phone, and so which covers kind of calling and things like that. And they flashed up this feature roadmap slide, and they didn't mention any of the things in here specifically. They just said, here's a list of things that are coming soon. So this is FY22 H1. So this is Microsoft financial year 22, which we've just hit. So that starts 1st of July. So half one would be from July through to December. So the back half of this year. So from now until December, this is what Microsoft are saying is coming. Now they're not. So this will be a roadmap. So rather than a commitment. But what's interesting, lots of these things in here are interesting, but this one is very interesting. Client SDK to support ISV Attendant Console Solutions. So what does this mean, and why didn't I write it up? What does it mean? We don't know. Why didn't I write it up? We don't know. So that's the reason I didn't do a blog post on this. This slide is the only thing we know about this feature. We don't have any details about when it's going to come, what it's going to look like. Is it going to be web only? Is it going to be desktop only? Is it going to support calls or videos or both or neither? Is it just going to be peer-to-peer? Is it going to be meetings? We have a ton of questions and we don't have any answers. So that's the reason I've not written this up yet. We are going to have to wait for more information to come out. I will say it is a really good thing to see that Microsoft are doing this. It is good to see them responding to the user voice. So Tom calls out as well in here. If I just open this item on user voice, it's been around a really long time and it's got 2,600 votes. So it's a really, that's really good. That's a really high vote when it comes to Teams features on user voice. So yeah, super interesting to see Microsoft responding to this. I think it's a really good thing they are responding to it, and they give developers these tools such as this client SDK to provide them the ability to embed functionality from Microsoft Teams inside other applications, because it doesn't always make sense that every workload can be brought inside the Microsoft Teams client. Sometimes it makes sense to go the other way and take Teams functionality and embed it inside another application. And so it's good to see Microsoft responding in that way. We are just going to have to wait for the detail on how that plays out. I mean, I will say, looking forward from now through to the end of the year, I'm just going to call it out and say Ignite is a milestone in that journey. So Microsoft do like releasing sort of features at big events. So possibly that's an Ignite announcement. We'll just have to wait and see. Maybe it'll come before then. Who knows? So keep an eye on for that. If I find anything sort of more concrete that is worth kind of putting together, I will do a blog post for it. The reason I didn't do a blog post is I couldn't really say any more than what Tom has already said here, so it seems silly, so I'd rather just link to his instead. Okay, so that's the first thing that happened this week. A client SDK for Microsoft Teams is on the roadmap, so very exciting. All right, next up, a blog post by Yun Pak from the Microsoft Teams blog. So this is in Tech Community, and it concerns applications that you build for meetings. So I've talked a lot about in-meeting applications in the past couple of months, and the different sort of scenarios that they open up and the different things that you can do with them. One thing that has always been a little bit of a challenge is that all of this new functionality hasn't worked on mobile until this point. Actually, that's now changed. So courtesy of this blog post, we can now see that from now you can actually do those things that you could do within meeting applications that previously were limited to just the desktop. You can now do them on the mobile application. So that's really cool. So this is really good because it really opens up, lots and lots of people obviously join meetings on mobile, and it's a fragmented experience. If you've written an in-meeting app and then half the participants can't access it because of the device they've joined on, that just doesn't make any sense. So yeah, this is good to see. You can see some screenshots in here of how it looks. So this is like an in-meeting application. It's kind of popped up on top of the meeting, so you can get that feedback. And the same with those notifications. They pop up in the meeting as well. It's a nice experience for mobile. They've thought about how to present it nicely for mobile using the available screen real estate and stuff. So really good to see. And if you've been waiting on doing in-meeting applications because of the lack of mobile support, and I know people have been doing that because, like I say, it doesn't make sense to have half the participants being able to participate and half not, because some have the in-meeting experience on their desktop and some are on mobile, so they don't. So this is really good to see. It's just worth there are a couple of gotchas. First of all, you need to make sure you're on the latest version of your mobile application, but also just be aware that the meeting organizer still needs to set the meeting up on a desktop machine in order to add that application. That step you have to go through to add the app to the meeting, you still need to do that on desktop. You can't do that on mobile. So just one to be aware of. All right, so that's interesting. And then finally, there's only one more thing I want to talk about this week. Because again, it's another big announcement and another interesting thing, so it's worth talking about. A broadcast development kit. So what on earth is this? So this is another, really, I guess it's another touch point for developers. It's another extensibility point for Microsoft Teams, although you might not necessarily think of it like that. It's a broadcast development kit, so it's really meant for integration with existing broadcast workflows. So this is different from the NDI out stuff that happened last year, and that was a really big one actually. Being able to kind of hook up NDI to a Microsoft Teams meeting, that really helped use Teams in many more places. What we've seen though is that lots of studios and lots of content creators have workflows and they have systems, and they use Teams in lots of different ways. Some base their entire experience around Teams. Some use Teams just for interviews or remote events and things like that. So there's a lot more integration needed. And this new SDK or a broadcast development kit, I suppose, enables some of that to happen. It's kind of really interesting. You can extract the audio and video content of a Teams meeting, but you can do it directly from the cloud. You don't actually need to route it via a desktop machine. So you can actually, through configuration, route RTMP or SRT streams directly from Microsoft's cloud, ingested into your whatever it is. Restream is one of them, for instance, is like an online provider, or you've got an online cloud studio you use, anything like that. You can hook those things directly together, which is kind of really interesting. You can also go the other way and take your RTMP feeds or your SRT feeds and feed them directly into a Teams meeting as well. So that's kind of cool as well. So you can go both ways, and it's a completely open source development kit. So you can do whatever you want with this. It's not a kind of tool set of stuff. It's a kit. It's code. It's an SDK. You'll have to do that integration yourself. But kind of really interesting. I think we'll see lots of online cloud studios really kind of get to work with this and start offering Microsoft Teams as an integration point, which is really cool. Teams is a really nice experience for doing interviews in, and it'd be really nice to be able to kind of stream that stuff natively to to all the other stuff that we use for kind of creating content. Yeah, really, really interesting. There's a ton of documentation. There's a sample of what it might look like. I think there's a screenshot of this sample here. Yeah, here's a sample of what you might want to put together. You can see some streams here. You can see the participant stream. You can see where it's going and where it's coming from. Yeah, really, really interesting, this stuff. So yeah, definitely worth checking out if you do anything with online streaming, if you want to connect Teams into your online cloud studio, or if you're just interested and trying to solve a problem that involves having direct access to the media of RTMP or SRT from your Teams meeting, then, or call, it can be call or meeting, then this is definitely worth kind of looking into. Super interesting. All right, that's everything from me this week. I hope you find those 3 links useful. Kind of some really kind of juicy new fun things coming. So that's really cool to see. Yeah, as we get more detail on those, expect more blog posts and things from me, especially around the Teams Client SDK. As soon as we know exactly what's involved and we see how to use it and all the rest of it, I expect I'll be doing some blog posts around that. But yeah, in the meantime, have a great week, whatever it is you're doing, and I will speak to you again next time.